Ford's midsize Ranger should be dominating dealership sales, but instead it's sitting on lots, while buyers drive home in Tacomas and Colorados. If you've been wondering why one of America's most trusted truck brands can't seem to move their midsize pickup, the reasons go deeper than most people realize. While other manufacturers are seeing record sales in this hot segment, Ford made 6 critical mistakes that are costing them thousands of customers every month. Number 6. Configuration trap. Imagine you're a contractor who needs to haul 10-foot pieces of trim molding for a custom home project. You walk into a Ford dealership expecting options, but there's only one choice: a crew cab with a short bed that won't fit your materials. Ford made a bold decision with the current Ranger, but it's one that's backfiring in showrooms across the country. Unlike its predecessor, which offered multiple body styles to match different work needs, today's Ranger comes in just one configuration. The previous generation understood that different jobs require different tools. It offered a super cab with a longer 72.8-inch bed, perfect for contractors hauling lumber or weekend warriors loading kayaks without having the tailgate down and red flags flying. This might sound like smart business, focus on what most people want, but truck buyers aren't most people. When you're trying to make a living with your truck, every inch of bed space matters. But when Ford eliminated the longer bed option, these customers didn't just disappear. They walked straight to Toyota and Nissan dealers who still understand that one size doesn't fit all jobs. The Tacoma still offers its access cab with a long bed, while the Frontier provides both king cab and crew cab configurations with multiple bed lengths. Ford essentially handed over an entire customer segment to its competition. When a contractor needs to haul 8-foot lumber without it hanging over the tailgate, the Ranger's short bed simply won't cut it. Therefore, they're buying something else. So Ford limited their bed options, but that's just the beginning of their capability problems. Number 5. The capability controversy. Nothing stings worse than buying what you think is the most capable truck in its class, only to discover your old truck could actually carry more weight. The previous Ranger generation boasted a best-in-class payload rating of 1,860 pounds, a number that work truck buyers could brag about and depend on for their heaviest jobs. But here's the gut punch. The current model's maximum payload drops to 1,805 pounds for rear-wheel drive and just 1,711 pounds for four-wheel drive. For someone who regularly maxes out their truck's payload capacity hauling concrete bags or roofing materials, those missing pounds represent real limitations on job efficiency. Now, those numbers are still respectable, but losing the best-in-class title matters more than Ford realized. When you're choosing a tool that determines how many trips you'll need to complete a job, every pound of payload can translate to saved time and fuel costs. The Ranger maintained its 7,500-pound towing capacity, which is excellent for pulling trailers, but towing and payload serve different masters. Recreational users care about towing their boats and campers, but commercial buyers live by payload numbers. When Ford's marketing team lost the ability to claim best-in-class payload, they lost a powerful selling point that directly impacts a buyer's bottom line. Buyers who need maximum hauling capacity are looking elsewhere. Therefore, Ford is missing out on truck buyers who actually use their trucks for truck things. The capability issues run deeper than just numbers, though, because even when buyers can live with the reduced payload, they're facing a completely different problem inside the cab. Number 4. The digital dilemma. It's modern, it's impressive, and it perfectly represents where luxury cars are heading. But there's a fundamental problem. Truck buyers aren't buying a luxury sedan for weekend drives. They're buying a tool that needs to work in harsh conditions with dirty hands and work gloves. Construction workers, contractors, and tradesmen use their trucks as mobile offices and tool storage. They need controls they can operate reliably without stopping their workflow. When climate controls, audio settings, and vehicle functions are buried in touchscreen menus, simple tasks become frustrating exercises that pull focus away from the job at hand. The software reliability adds another layer of real-world frustration. Owner forums are filled with complaints about screens freezing during critical moments, random menu changes that confuse muscle memory, and systems that require complete vehicle restarts to function properly. When your truck's basic controls become unreliable, every workday becomes potentially complicated. A traditional knob or button either works or doesn't, but software glitches create intermittent problems that dealers struggle to reproduce, leaving owners with unresolved issues that affect their daily productivity. But even if you can live with the digital controls, there's something about the Ranger's appearance that's turning buyers away before they even sit inside. Number 3. The style struggle. First impressions matter more in truck sales than almost any other vehicle segment, because truck buyers often form emotional connections with their vehicles that go beyond pure practicality. Ford's design team took a big swing with the Ranger's aesthetics, featuring aggressive C-clamp LED headlights and a bold grille design that's impossible to ignore. Professional reviewers often praise the distinctive look, but truck buyers are voting with their wallets, and the results tell a different story. When potential customers walk away from a truck based on appearance alone, it doesn't matter how capable the vehicle is under the skin. The polarizing design stems from the Ranger's global development. Ford Australia created this styling for international markets before bringing it to North America. Therefore, the design language doesn't perfectly align with American truck traditions Fords that buyers grew up admiring. For someone who's driven F-150s their entire adult life, the Ranger's appearance can feel disconnected from the Ford truck DNA they trust. The styling controversy is one thing, but what's under the hood is creating even bigger concerns among truck buyers who've been burned before. Number 2. The turbo skepticism. Here's a scenario that keeps work truck buyers awake at night. You're 2 hours from the nearest town, your turbocharger fails, and your livelihood depends on getting back to work. Ford committed fully to turbocharged engines. No naturally aspirated options exist, and while the performance numbers look impressive on paper, they've created anxiety for buyers who depend on their trucks for their paychecks. The base 2.3-liter turbo 4-cylinder and available twin-turbo V6 engines deliver impressive power and torque figures that make test drives exciting. But conservative truck buyers, particularly those using vehicles for work, value predictability over peak performance. When your truck is your business, the last thing you want is complex technology that might leave you stranded. Turbochargers introduce additional components, higher operating temperatures, and more potential failure points. These aren't irrational fears. They're based on real-world experience with maintenance costs that can cripple small business budgets. The skepticism intensifies when considering Ford's EcoBoost reliability history, with carbon buildup, oil pan leaks, and head gasket failures affecting various EcoBoost engines across Ford's lineup. Recent recalls for intake valve fractures on 2021 to 2022 models reinforce buyer concerns about betting their business on complex technology. Meanwhile, the Nissan Frontier still offers a naturally aspirated V6 that's been proven in millions of trucks, giving conservative buyers peace of mind. When the Jeep Gladiator provides similar capability with a simpler engine design that's easier to diagnose and repair, Ford's turbo-only strategy pushes away risk-averse customers who can't afford downtime. All these reliability concerns would be easier to accept if the Ranger was priced to compensate, but that's where Ford's biggest mistake becomes crystal clear. Number 1. The price escalation problem. Nothing kills a truck sale faster than sticker shock that builds slowly until the final number doesn't match the advertised price. Ford's pricing strategy creates an illusion that quickly becomes an expensive reality. The Ranger's base price of $32,720 looks competitive against rivals like the Colorado's $31,900 starting point, drawing buyers into showrooms with the promise of affordability. But this initial impression crumbles once buyers start adding the features they actually need. Most truck buyers don't want a bare-bones work truck. They want reliable daily drivers that can handle both job sites and family duties. The price jumps become aggressive quickly, with moves from the base XL to the mid-level XLT adding $3,000, while the Lariat trim starts at $43,680. A four-wheel drive Lariat easily crosses $47,000, putting it in full-size truck territory where buyers start questioning whether they should just step up to an F-150. But the most telling comparison comes at the performance level where truck enthusiasts pay attention. The Ranger Raptor starts at $55,620, while the Colorado ZR2 with similar off-road capability begins at $46,800. That's nearly a $9,000 difference for comparable performance that can handle the same trails and towing duties. For a buyer who's worked hard to afford a premium off-road truck, that extra $9,000 represents weeks of additional work or compromises on other family priorities. The Ford Ranger's sales struggles aren't about one fatal flaw. They're about several strategic decisions that collectively alienate the very buyers Ford needs most, from limiting configurations that work truck buyers depend on, to embedding essential controls in unreliable touchscreens. To pricing the truck out of its own market segment, Ford has systematically pushed customers toward competitors who better understand truck buyer priorities. The Ranger remains a capable truck with solid engineering, but until Ford addresses these fundamental disconnects between their product strategy and truck buyer reality, they'll continue watching potential customers drive home in Tacomas and Colorados instead. Speaking of Colorado, make sure to check out our video about the reasons why smart buyers are waiting for the next year's model. If you thought that Chevy was done with updates for this generation, wait to see what's coming for the next year. With further updates and upgrades, the Colorado will retain its leading position in towing, base engine performance, off-road capabilities, and every other aspect that truck buyers appreciate the most.